Hello, Wheel Milk Drinker here. Now before I get started on this video, which is just going to be me showing off a bunch of Star Wars movies, I'd like to thank everyone who has watched Harvey's Adventures, has followed along with that series, and has subscribed because of it. I have 2 out of 3 remaining episodes written. It's just a matter of getting outside and being able to film them. With weather recently and mosquitoes as bad as they are, it is difficult to be filming right now out there in nature. So, the content of today's video is I have pride in something, and it is my love for Star Wars. And I have a collection of Star Wars discs that many people do not have. Now, before I get too deep into it, I would like to say that some of the products that I have are not entirely legal to be sold, but there really is no law against me owning them, and I will not be getting into how or where I obtained them. So, the first film, an honorable mention, is going to be Fanboys. Everybody loves Fanboys. It's where you gotta start if you want to go chronological order, because this does take place before the Phantom Menace, technically. So we're going to set that over there. Actually, I'm going to set it right here. We can build up. So the next film I would like to highlight is obviously the first Star Wars film that every fan should own. We're talking chronologically from the beginning to the end. So it is, of course, The Planet with No Name. An amazing, low budget Star Wars fan film that has captured the hearts of hundreds. I put this right here, and we move on to the next one. Now this film introduces everyone's favorite red-bladed, red-faced, dual-bladed lightsaber villain that everybody loves. It is Contract of Evil. This is Darth Maul's first chronological appearance, if you go by fan films, and whew, he is buff and shirtless, and it is nice. A lot of animalistic roaring as they fight. It's very intense. Lots of buff men in prosthetic makeup, just shirtlessly fighting out in the heat. It's very fun. It's very fun. So obviously, I gotta get to the actual Star Wars films at some point, which is why we have The Phantom Menace. Everyone's favorite Star Wars film, no doubt. It, introduces us to Darth Jar Jar. It has an amazing racing scene. I really love Naboo. It's Naboo, beautiful Naboo. And then you have Tatooine, and I hate Tatooine because there's sand everywhere, which is coarse and rough and irritating. Which brings us to number 2, Attack of the Clones. The movie where I watch it, I'm like, oh, I want to be Padme. She gets all the hot boys. After that, we do have The Clone Wars, Volume 1 and Volume 2. This is the original Clone Wars series, almost entirely hand-drawn except for the space battles. And that will just go right here. At this point, I would like to point out that I do not own the second Clone Wars animated series, nor do I own Star Wars Rebels or Star Wars Resistance on disc. But we got Revenge of the Sith, the epic tragedy. Everybody loves Revenge of the Sith. Followed by, obviously, the next film, Revelations. This is a post-Order 66 film about Jedi trying to survive in the Age of the Empire. Which brings us to Star Wars Droids. Now, I took some time trying to figure out where to fit this one in chronologically, but as I watched Star Wars Droids again and again and again, I noticed some things, such as 3PO does an entire episode pointing out how different things are prejudice and kind of like a anti-homophobic, anti-racist thing. But there's also, that's a little off topic, the technologies. There we go. The technologies and certain characters that we see in droids is much more reminiscent of the prequel era than the actual Empire that we see in A New Hope. So I felt it fit closer to the events of Revenge of the Sith than it does to Solo, which really is just the Lando film. I mean, come on, Lando was amazing. The stack's getting big. So now we come to a favorite of mine, The Dark Redemption. However, this bootleg is not just The Dark Redemption. This is a very low quality version of The Dark Redemption. If you want to watch a good version of The Dark Redemption, it is available on YouTube, and you can watch it and you're like, wow, that's pretty good. The screen is dark, it's kind of blurry, I don't know what went wrong. This is from Turkey, the country. You know, it is fun. You got Boba Fett, you got CGI, you got an Aqualish, you got the Emperor, you got Vader, you got two buffoons dressed up as stormtroopers trying to rescue someone from... It's basically A New Hope, but they're trying to steal the Death Star plans. And speaking of stealing the Death Star plans, the film that made me cry in theaters, Rogue One. I bawled my eyes out. When I saw Tarkin, I started crying. It was amazeballs. So now we are getting to the point where it really starts getting a little bit weirder. Because, well, I'll just show you. You'd think A New Hope would be next. Or it's gotta be another fan film. A New Hope deleted magic. Star Wars A New Hope recreated using only B footage. This is the film, word for word, line for line, using only the B-roll. Chewbacca is speaking English. That old man's mad. It's hilarious. I love it. So now we come to the despecialized editions. Episodes 4, 5, and 6, as they appeared in theaters, despecialized to the best of the ability of a large group of fans. I will be eternally grateful for them. Now I just need to get is the Grindhouse edition, where it's literally just copies of the actual films that were in theaters. That would be a great thing to have. I will get that eventually, but not today. Now we're on to A New Hope. It's an okay film, you know, for its time. And coming off of New Hope, episode 4.1, Troops, the cops parody that takes place in Star Wars. And then a blockbuster edition of the Star Wars Holiday Special. I have watched this through, all the way through, one time. The next film, Broken Allegiance. This is a precursor to Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. Empire Strikes Back. It's an okay film. It's okay. And now we get to my 4 favorite Star Wars things. Number 1. Both seasons of the Ewoks cartoon. They're the Ewoks. I love the Ewoks. I love Ewoks so much. And this is Caravan of Courage. It's the first made-for-TV Star Wars film with the Ewoks and Sindel Tawani. They crash land on Endor. They gotta find their parents, which is then followed up by the Wilford Brimley-led Ewok movie, in which, after finding their parents, Sindel watches her entire family be absolutely massacred by raiders led by this dude named Tarak, with a Night Sister, and they gotta fight against this army of evil marauders, and Wilford Brimley drops a fucking F-bomb right in the middle of the film. It was aired on CBS unedited. It's great. And then, my favorite film, Return of the Jedi. Now, the third entry in every Star Wars trilogy is always my favorite of that trilogy. And not only is this the third entry in the original trilogy, it is also the third entry in the Ewok movies. Yes, these take place before this, making this a double trilogy ender. Getting to the end here. Next, we have the Blu-ray edition of the special editions of the original trilogy. So that's going to go in here. So you got the original trilogy sandwiched between the final special edition and the despecialized edition. So obviously there's not much left to go. So before we get to the sequel trilogy, The Mandalorian Season 1, which takes place about 5 years after Return of the Jedi. It's a really great show. I love Baby Yoda. And then we have The Force Awakens, which is, pretty nice film. I really like some of the characters. And then you have The Last Jedi. It's a pretty nice film. I really like some of the characters. There's that Rose Tico. I thought she was a pretty nice character. Then we have The Rise of Skywalker. Palpatine's final battle, in which he still has not yet learned to stop deflecting lightning into his face. A lot of his problems would be solved if he didn't reflect. If he just stopped the lightning fingers. As soon as the lightsabers hold up, he'd have a lot less problems. I'm just saying. My issue with this movie is that there wasn't enough Ewoks. There were 2 Ewoks for a little bit, but then, ugh. If it had more Ewok, it would have been great. And thus is the Star Wars Disc Collection. I love it all. Thank you for watching. If you liked this, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. More Harvey's Adventures is on the way. After that, I'm working on another series that won't be a fantasy. It'll be more of a sci-fi. It'll actually be more of a rip-off of Star Wars to the best of my ability. And if you like all the Star Wars content, I may produce more in the future. I don't know. I mean, a Blue Belt drinker. I should be making more stuff. May the Force be with you. Always. Muddle nodes!